Good afternoon, lovely people, and welcome back to another That Liverpool show. My name is Callum, representing Team Coppish. Delighted to be joined by Bizzo and Rams. How you guys doing this afternoon?
Good
All
man.
good, bro.
Good.
All good.
All right.
Good, good, good. So obviously, this is one of the first shows we've done whereby we've come into this show on the back of a loss. Obviously, we lost last night to Atalanta in the Champions League. Just want to get your thoughts on the game. So Bizzo, I'll start with you. Did that game go how you expected it, especially when you saw the starting team, and what's sort of your overall feelings towards the way the game panned out?
I was quite optimistic, to be honest, when I looked at the lineup. I thought it was quite a good team he put out, in considering obviously the issues we're having. It was very rigid tactically. I thought, but you could tell that the players hadn't played a lot of games together. That was probably the main thing I took away from it. Um, yeah, I mean it's expected, isn't it? We're still winning the big games, but when we're getting beat in the circumstances that we've got now,
Mm.
it's just one of them. I was expecting a loss to have already come, to be honest. So it wasn't a massive shock to me how we played last night, considering the amount of backup players we had in the team and no real depth. I mean, we had two keepers on the bench, so just showed
Yeah.
how little we had available to us that night. So but yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? You can't be too critical. I don't think you can to a degree, but with what he's just playing with what he's got at his disposal, isn't he? Really?
Yeah, very true. Rams, your thoughts?
Yeah, it's probably one of the worst performances we've seen, barring that Aston Villa result. Um, Mane and Salah, they were shut out very well by the Atalanta boys. And yeah, it's just we never got our first gear. Everything was just slow, sideways, no real impetus.
Mm.
You can expect that with some of the players that we had on the field. Like majority of them were backup, but it's not ideal. I was hoping a win so that we could focus more on the league rather than the next two Champions League games. But because of the result, we have to put
Mm.
more priority on the Champions League as well.
Yeah, so I mean, going into the game, shout out to Neeks who's asking a question based on the show that we did on the Coppish channel last night. Neeks is such a wind up, you gotta love him. Um, I just wanted to ask, so going into the game, I'll be completely transparent. I wanted us to rest a lot of the first team players, so much so that I fully agreed with Klopp's lineup. Apart from Mane, I actually wanted Mane rested as well. And the only reason I wanted Salah to start is because there was no Shaqiri and Salah didn't play against Leicester. However, hindsight's always said to be a beautiful thing. Do you think Klopp potentially got it wrong and we should have gone strong for the first maybe half, 60 minutes, and then maybe made the five substitutions to rest some of the players? Or is it just a case of the team just didn't show up yesterday, and had they shown up, then we would have won the game? Rams, I'll start with you on that one.
Um, I think, look, as you said, hindsight is always going to be a beautiful place, but it's when you look to the team, there was still enough to beat Atalanta. We still had
Mm,
Mane, we still had Salah. Like there was quality, and the performance wasn't good enough. It was just as simple as that. Um, Look, if you're looking back, maybe you could have got a little bit more first team players, maybe another first team centre back instead of Reese Williams. But
yeah.
I didn't want to play as many like first teamers in this game really because the crisis that we already have. So I think it was the right move, but we'll have to wait and see whether it costs us in the end.
Indeed. Stro, same. Sorry. Um, Bizzo, straight, same. Sorry. I'm so used to saying Stro.
No,
Shout out to Stro
always
if you're
here, isn't he?
watching. Yeah, Bizzo, same question to you, please, bro.
Uh, I don't think he got it wrong in terms of the players that he selected. I agree with you. I wanted him resting as well. I mean, if we'd have won that game, it'd have been pretty much plain sailing for the rest of the group stage. But what you've got to remember is we've still got two more games, haven't we, to qualify in. That I agree with you that I would have liked to have seen more players rested, not necessarily less, because I don't think it bared that much importance that game last night in comparison to our previous results. I think he got it wrong
Mm,
tactically because he played it looked to me like he set up in exactly the same way that we set up against them when we played them away from home, and they came a lot more prepared, and they were a lot better assembled at the back. So they dealt with us very well in terms of our attacking prowess instead of the first game. Sorry, when we played them away from home. That's the only criticism I have with it, really. I mean, yeah, the goals were two decent goals, and I think the only change I probably would have done is I would have played Minamino instead of Origi, because I just don't agree with Origi playing through the middle personally. That's just my preference. I just think he's a waste of a position when we play him through the middle and expect him to do what Bobby does week in, week out for us. But other than that, like I said, I agree with you. I think he was right to rest the players that he rested, and it just didn't go our way that night. It's simple as.
I'm going to stay with you, Bizzo, because you mentioned Divock Origi, and obviously he was the main talking point that came out of the game last night, rightly or wrongly. You said that you think he's a waste of a position when he plays through the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Given that most Liverpool fans, including myself, has always moaned when he plays out on the left. So do you actually think him playing out on the left is better for him than playing through the centre?
Personally, I do, yeah, because I think he's quick and he's agile, and he's better in that sense when he's got a little bit more time out on the left side, or whether it was on the right as well. This is obviously my opinion. I think a central striker for Liverpool is a lot different to a central striker for a West Ham or an Aston Villa, in the sense that when you associate a centre forward with a team like a mid-table team like West Ham, Villa, etc., then that's like your goal scoring threat. Whereas I don't think our centre forward is the responsibilities are that of a centre forward. Hence why you see Mane, Jota, and Salah bagging the majority of the goals for us from the wings. And I think it'd be better if he was playing in that position for me as a goal scorer, as opposed to like an assist machine, like a centre forward who's setting up these goals and linking the play together. Because I don't think he can do that. I don't think he's good enough to do that, and that's fine. It's just not the player that he is at the end of the day. For me, I think he's much better on the wide wings, where he can actually receive service as opposed to being relied on to give it. And as I said last night, he couldn't do it. It wasn't. That's why we were rubbish up front, because his link up play just isn't there for me.
Yeah, fair point. Rams, obviously you're quite passionate about this subject regarding Origi, so I'll let you take the floor now.
No, look, what the guy's done for us in terms of the history, like Barcelona Champions League final, yeah, is all great. Merseyside derbies, yeah. But for me, he's just not offering enough, really. Like, yeah, he can have a great moments here and there, but we need consistency with our backup players. And I feel like his time at Liverpool might have come to an end. And this is one of the reasons why he looked lackluster. He made runs that he didn't need to make runs. He should have dropped back into what Firmino gets the ball deeper, but he didn't. There was just nothing. He didn't offer anything. And it's worrying to see a striker do that as well. And especially someone that who wants to prove himself as a starter, with obviously Firmino not having a lot of game time and a lot of importance on resting players. And seeing him pull out that performance last night, it just wasn't good enough. And I think, in my personal opinion, he surpassed the requirements.
That's a fair point. I mean, the thing is, if we go out and get a striker, it'd have to be a top class striker. Now, we're not notorious for being a team that throws around money unless we bring in a good amount of money first. So people linking us with your Haalands, your Mbappes, etc. I think it's nice to be linked with those players, and it shows how far we've come. I'd be very surprised if we went and got one of those players. Now, saying that, obviously, that's not me saying we can't improve on Origi. I think there are strikers out there who are better than Origi in terms of talent. I think what's sad about Origi, in my point of view, is that he's got talent. He's got pace. He's got strength. He's physically, he's tall. He should be able to put himself about and really give defenders a rough time. And you only have to look back at games like the Barcelona game, for example, where he came in, played through the centre, and he gave their defence a torrid time. And it wasn't just the goals; it was his overall play. I think for me last night, what was disappointing from Origi and a lot of the other players as well, but more so Origi, was not that he was misplacing pass and it's his demeanour and his attitude. He just looked like he couldn't be asked. And I think there's two ways you can look at it. You can look at it as he's a professional, so he should always be ready and willing to step in when he needs to. However, you could also question Klopp and say, well, look, he's been at the club this amount of time, and Klopp's never really given him a chance to nail down a place in the starting 11. Obviously, Bobby, Salah, and Mane have all been brilliant, but there have been times where Origi could have played. Like, for example, Bobby went through a period recently where he was really poor and he was still starting. So, I mean, Bizzo, do you think that Origi's been treated harshly by Klopp and the club, or do you just think it's just a bad set of circumstances that, well, bad in his sense, but good in the sense that we've just got other players who've been playing at such a high level for such a long time?
He's not been treated badly because he doesn't contribute enough to warrant a place in the team. If every time he was given a chance, I mean, look at Jota as an example, right? Jota's walked into that team this season, and he's arguably outshone the front three with the team around him. Origi's had that team around him for a number of years now, and he's not getting that goal ratio that Jota's got in like a quarter as many games when he's given the opportunity. So I think now with Origi, it's clear that he just doesn't fit into our system. If there's an argument that he's better in the centre than he is on the wing, and vice versa, then that just highlights to me that we don't know where to play him and we don't know where we can get the best out of him. And if you can't get the best out of a player like that, then the chances are he's not going to be with you much longer. And I think when you were on about the other strikers that we could get, I mean, I personally would have played Minamino last night in his position. I think he'd have been a much better option. I think Minamino is being moulded into a player that plays the way Firmino plays. I think that's why we've kept him centrally. We haven't, because when we signed him from Salzburg and when he scored against us in Salzburg, he was playing right wing. So he's obviously been played in a different position for us on purpose or for some reason. And I think it'd be better playing him to get him the game time, to get him the minutes and the confidence to be able to fill those boots when he needed to. So as when Bobby's been lacking a bit of confidence and not been scoring, try bringing Minamino through, because he obviously doesn't have the confidence in Origi to do it, because he would have dropped Bobby and brought Origi on, in my opinion, if that was the case. He's been harshly treated and he's not been given enough opportunities. He would have had the opportunities there. But yeah, I think it's probably getting to that time now where it's like, yeah, he's made some massive contributions over the years and he's contributed to a lot of our success, but there is a time when a striker needs to, when any player needs to move on, and that those goals will warrant for more money in the market. I mean, if you look at Ollie Watkins at Villa, 24 years old, and he's demanding a £33 million transfer fee, and you've got a Champions League and a Premier League winner who's 25 and a Belgium international. I mean, that potentially you're looking at quite a lot of money there, and there's a lot of options out for you when you've got a lot more money coming in.
Yeah. Rams, I just want to stick with Minamino for a sec. So Bizzo made some good points as to why you may not have seen Minamino as much. I'll be honest, I was quite shocked he didn't start yesterday, especially with Klopp speaking about him in a press conference before the game, saying he's been exceptional in training, he's been flying. Do you think that Minamino will be the sort of backup to Firmino? And if so, do you think he's capable of playing that position?
Well, that was the plan, really. I think when he was brought in, he was meant to be the backup. He wasn't meant. I don't think he was going to be the guy that was going to challenge the front three. He was just going to be covering if there's any injuries. He has the kind of, his play style kind of is similar to Firmino. He likes to have the ball to feet, likes to make little passes and then makes the runs. So yeah, I can see it, but I think he's more or less a utility player, not like he can slot in everywhere across the field, mainly just in those front three. So if someone's missing, he'll be the replacement for that. I think he's mainly used just to cover the attacking lineup as a whole rather than just that specified position.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I'll be honest, I'm not convinced by Minamino yet either. Not saying obviously I want him binned off, but I'm still not convinced by him. I don't think he's shown me enough yet that suggests he's ready
But
and able to fill in for Liverpool right now.
he's had moments. Like obviously one springs to mind, the Community Shield when he came on. He when he came on, it was like a bright spark lit up. Like he changed the game. But
Mm,
after that, there's not been that level of consistency from him. And like
yeah.
He's not given the
I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, Bizzo, you're going to say he's not been given a chance.
Yeah, I mean, what I've noticed with Klopp is he will wait until the very last, until he's completely and utterly convinced that they're ready to go into that team. In my opinion, because with Fabinho, he'd held Fabinho back for ages. He didn't play him for ages, and then his first
Yeah,
couple of games was really iffy. I remember against Arsenal, he was misplacing his tackles and committing fouls left, right, and centre, and he couldn't keep up with the pace of the game. And then all of a
yeah,
sudden, he just turned into a player over like after a couple more runs out. And I think that's the same with Minamino. Like Minamino, he's a small player. He's not very well built physically. When Origi first joined us, I'm pretty sure I read Origi put a couple of stone on him muscle
yeah, he had to, yeah.
when he first joined. And I think it's similar for Minamino. Really, he joined back end of last season when we were almost home and dry anyway. I think his time will come. He's still young enough to prove it. And I think he'll obviously, if he keeps working, he can get a bit physically stronger, as
Yeah,
all of the players that we've got have done. I remember Trent when Trent first played for us, he was really skinny and didn't look
yeah,
like
Yeah.
about him. And then he suddenly got bigger and managed to play. And I think it's just the same case with him. And then when he gets the opportunities, I think he will start performing a lot better personally.
yeah. That's fair analysis. The next player I want to move on to and speak about is another player who sort of bear the brunt of the criticism last night as well, and that was Nico Williams. And Nico's had a bit of a torrid time since Community Shield. He had to black out his social media because he was getting quite nasty abuse, and you think he's what 19, so it couldn't have been easy for him to deal with that. Since then, he's not looked right to me, and I'm not talking about in terms of talent. I think he's a good fullback for his age. He just looks really devoid of confidence at the moment. He looks like he's just struggling, and a lot of people are saying he either needs to go out on loan or go back to the under 23s. I personally would drop him down to the under 23s for a couple of months, let him build up his confidence again, and then bring him back into the first team fold. Rams, what's your thoughts on Nico at the moment?
I think it's a mixture of two things, really. I think one is obviously mentally. Like the guy got so much abuse, unwarranted abuse from, I think it was that drubbing we gave to Lincoln. It just didn't make any sense. Like we
Mm,
won comfortably, and you still gave the guy abuse. Um, and secondly, for me, I think it's his physically, he's not at it. I think he's just a little bit light. And I think with the pace and the power of the Premier League and also the Champions League as well, you need to be physically demanding. I think he's a little bit lightweight. Maybe a couple more sessions at the gym might help, but he technically he's a very 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 good footballer. Like the guy can whip a ball in. It's as simple as that. Not at the level of Trent, but he still can whip a ball in. But for me, it's physically, and maybe going out on loan might help him. Like the Championship is a very good breeding ground for young and up and coming players. Maybe a loan move to over there might help him like a lot.
Bizzo, your thoughts on Nico?
I like him. I think he's a good talent. I think he's definitely lacking in confidence, and he's probably being haunted by what happened a few months ago. I think he's not scared of a shot when he gets put in that position, which is always a good sign for a young player at right
Mm,
back. He has got a good delivery on him, as Ram said. Obviously it needs work, but I mean, if you're not gonna play him in games like that and give him the opportunity to show it, then there isn't much else you can do really. I think it's just a case of persevering with him because he is a squad player at the end of the day. He's not coming into that team to light it up and become a solidified right back for us. He probably knows his place right now. He probably knows he is second string to Trent, as would anyone that came into the club in that position. I think he'd learn more staying and being that backup right back as Tsimikas is for Robertson. I think he'd learn more doing that than he would do going out on loan personally, because he plays for the Welsh national team as well, and he plays well. He's had some good games for them, and he has been applauded for a couple of games that he's played for them. So, I mean, that mixture for me, he will develop over time. Again, Ram said he's physically is a bit small. I agree, but 19 years old, it'll get better.
And just to add, I think it's the problem with the likes of Trent and Marcus Rashford. I think quite a lot of people are expecting these young players to burst onto the scene, and that's just not really the case. It will never ever be the case.
No, I fully agree. I'm backing Neco. Even the goals, everyone was saying he was to blame for both goals. The first goal came from a cross on his side, both goals came from cross on his side, but the second goal wasn't his fault at all. He actually stopped the player crossing the ball, who was meant to be marking. It was actually Jota who didn't get out quick enough I think it was Gomez who chipped the ball in for the second goal, but Nico's been blamed for that one as well. So I just think sometimes there's a case of fans sort of misreading and misinterpreting what's actually happening on the football pitch, and just because something happens over a player's side doesn't automatically make it that player's fault. So I think people should maybe look back, especially that second goal, and just realise that he wasn't actually at fault for that goal. But hopefully he just gets his confidence back. Hopefully he gets the support, the fans, and he feels that love and support, and hopefully gets back to what made us kind of be happy with the fact that he was Trent's backup and not wanting to go into the market for another right back. So just based on yesterday's game, so obviously yesterday's game was full of our sort of quote unquote backup team. If I was to say to you both right now, everyone's fit and firing, what would your backup 11 be if we had to play this game again? But everyone's fit, everyone's firing. Not your first 11, your backup 11. Now, obviously, goalkeeper kind of picks itself because Adrian is our deputy goalkeeper to Alisson. But what would your sort of back four be? So, Biz, I'll start with you.
Tsimikas, Fabinho, Matip, and Neco.
Cool.
That's what I'd say.
I'll go for Tsimikas, Fabinho, Matip, and Milner, I think.
Okay, interesting.
Because Milner played as a right midfielder for Manchester City, and he's played there most of his whole career. And for me, a right midfielder in our system is similar to a right back. So I think he would do just fine.
Yeah. I agree with parts of both of you. So I'd go Tsimikas, Milner at the fullbacks, and then I'd go Fabinho and Gomez. So that basically mean I'd have Matip starting for me if everyone's fit. Midfield now. Where would you go in midfield? What would you do? So Rams, I'll start with you on this one then.
Well, midfield is difficult, you know. So the two centre midfielders I think would be most likely Keita, and Oxlade-Chamberlain. I think them both would be all right. And then behind them, it'll be Wijnaldum, I think, in my opinion.
Cool. Bizzo?
I'd probably say it's a tough one, this, because I really like Curtis Jones. I don't think he's first team when everyone's fit, so I'd probably say him over Shaqiri. I think it'd be a toss up between them, and then I'd say Wijnaldum and Milner in centre mid. That'd be my rotated one, yeah.
Cool, I think in my personal opinion, I think we missed a trick in letting Marko Grujic go out on loan. As soon as I heard he went to Porto, I thought we made a mistake. He should have stayed and be a
Yeah.
backup.
I don't think we had much choice though, because of the whole quota of having certain amount of homegrown players. I don't think we had much choice. I think
There's that as well.
it
Yeah.
was between him or Shaqiri to get a last registered place, and Klopp went with Shaqiri.
Mhm.
I think I'd go Genie, Cater, and this is where it gets. I'd probably go Genie, Cater, and Ox, but that is quite tough. And then for the front three, who you going for? So Bizzo, I'll start with you first.
Jota on the left, Minamino. I don't know. I think I'd always have to play one of Mane or Salah. I think.
No Shaqiri?
No, not there. I like Shaqiri when he plays just behind the front three. I think he's really creative. He's played really well there. If I was rotating, I'd probably say Ox. I know it's not his strongest position there, but I'd probably if I was playing a fully rotated side, that's who would play on the right.
That's fair enough. And Rams, yourself?
Yeah, I'll go for Shota, Minamino, and then I'll put Shaqiri out on the right. Obviously, I think Oxlade-Chamberlain would be a little bit of a pacey, powerful threat through the midfield. I think we need a little bit more creativity out wide, so I think Shaqiri would be a nice balance on the right hand side.
Cool. For me, I'd probably go Minamino, Shaqiri, and Origi, because if I had the choice to pick a first 11, I'd probably go 4-2-3-1 and play Jota and Bobby in the starting lineup. But the reason why I wanted to take us through those backup teams is, do you think we have a bit of a mini rebuild on our hands this summer? So you look at players like Genie, who hasn't signed a new contract and could start speaking to other clubs in January. Milner, who looks to be winding down. Players like Shaqiri, who can't stay fit. Matip, who struggles to stay fit. You've got players like Origi and Minamino, who just don't seem to be at it. Shaqiri can't seem to stay fit. Do you think we have a bit of a mini rebuild on our hands, especially? And then you've got Gomez, who unfortunately seems to pick up a bad injury every season. Now, it's no secret we need a new centre back. We needed one since we sold Lovren. But then you look at Adrian as well. His contract's coming up to an end this summer as well. Are we in a point where we might need a little bit of a mini rebuild this summer? So Bizzo, I'll start with you.
No, I think we just need two signings in summer.
Okay.
Bearing in mind that Wijnaldum, if Wijnaldum signs a new deal, we need two. If Wijnaldum decides to move on, then potentially I would say we need three. I think we need a better backup goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Because that's already cost us points this season. So that would be the first thing that I'd do. I'd get a better one. If you look at Tottenham have got great depth in goalkeeper. Even United with Henderson and Romero. We need to be on a similar wavelength to that.
Yeah, agreed.
Alisson gets injured a lot more than a normal keeper anyway. In my opinion, he's been injured a couple of times seasons for a long time as well. So I'd highlight that as a massive one, and then I'd just get my centre half cover, and I'd probably go for someone who's young, who we can mature into a player that we can fit the team. So like Kabak from Schalke or Schürrle from Ajax, someone like that, someone with that kind of pedigree. I think the midfield is well equipped for anything on its day, and I think the front three you don't really want to disrupt that front three a lot, and I think Jota's fit in with it nicely. And I think I genuinely think if Origi left, I wouldn't replace him. I'd just keep Jota and Minamino and rotate those five. That's what I think I'd do in that circumstance. So no, I don't think we need to mini rebuild or anything like that. I don't think this is panic stations. We're still winning games. We're still playing really well as well. Against Leicester, I thought we were faultless. And then we're going to have one or two bad results. That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Villa and Atalanta so far, but yeah, I don't think there's a need for a rebuild in my opinion. No.
Fair enough. Rams?
Not a mini. I think just a couple of signings extra. I think if obviously is dependent on Wijnaldum signing that contract. If he signs the contract, then yeah, I'll agree with Bizzo around about three. Or, if he doesn't, it'll be 3 or 4 players that we need to get. If he does, then 2 or 3. Like 2 or 3. It's really dependent. But for me, yeah, we need a backup goalkeeper for sure.
Yeah,
Adrian is just. Let's say about
he's
Adrian.
Adrian. Yeah, he's just Adrian.
Centre back, yeah, I agree with Bizzo's train of thought. I think we need a young and up and coming one, like a Kabak or a Shores might be good. Maybe to look forward after Van Dijk if he ever drops off when he grows older. Midfield, I think we're stacked as well. I think we're stacked in midfield. We got quite a lot of players. Maybe a utility player, but maybe Henderson might be that guy because he's getting older. But I have to disagree with Biz. I think we need another strike. I need another forward. I think if it was an ideal world, I wish we get Haaland. I think if we get Haaland, I don't think we're going to beat. I don't think anyone's going to beat us. Honestly,
he's insane. He is insane.
I'm going to say something a bit controversial now, and I know I'm going to get stick for it. I rate Haaland. I know I rate him. I'd be blind if I didn't rate him. I think he's a phenomenal finisher. Like when he's in front of goal, he's a killer. I don't know if he works at Liverpool.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that completely.
Oh, I don't know because I see him with Fiorentina, and it's like if he can do that with the likes of maybe Mane or
but
maybe...
they're more creative wingers. Our wingers are more, attacking striker wingers.
He's a bit of a target man, Haaland. He's like everyone's like
doesn't really get involved in play.
He's not. He doesn't link up. He's literally just right there to put the ball in the net. That's all they use him for. That's how good he plays.
Maybe
give it Haaland and he puts it in the net. That's it.
Yeah,
I think someone like Sancho would fit in well with our team. I think I'd rather have Sancho, I think, than Haaland personally. Just because he fits that play. He can play anywhere along that front three if you really needed him to. But yeah, I don't think we need mass amounts of firepower up front. I think Jota's probably been a bit of a coup signing really in terms of how well he's done based on the expectations that we probably had of him when we were about to sign him.
Yeah, I actually think someone like Lautaro Martinez would almost be perfect for us if we were looking for a striker. I think he'd fill that role absolutely perfect. Obviously, we're not linked with him. I doubt we'd get him, but I think someone of his ilk would be absolutely perfect. I've got to be honest, guys. I do think we have a little bit of a mini rebuild on our hands in the summer, and I'll explain why. So we've all said goalkeeper, which you've got to be blind not to want another goalkeeper ahead of Adrian. I think we need 2 centre backs. When I say 2, I think we need an out and out centre back, and then a centre back who can play maybe right back or midfield as well. So someone who's a bit of a utility, and someone like, dare I say it, someone like an Alaba who can play centre back, centre mid, and left wing and left back. Someone like that. But I think you need 2 players who can cover the centre back position, because if you're going to keep Matip and Gomez, as much as they're brilliant on their day and when they're fit, you just know every single season they're going to come back to you with injuries. It's just unfortunate. But I think you need that covering. This season's taught us that as indestructible as Virgil is, he's still a human being, and injuries can happen to any single player. So I'd go 2 centre backs. I'd go 1 more established centre back and 1 younger centre back, or 1 established centre back and 1 centre back who can play a variety of positions. So that's 2 players. I also think we will need another centre midfielder. And the reason I say that is I hope Genie stays, but it's looking less and less likely. Milner's starting to come to sort of the end of his tenure now. He's starting to wind down a little bit. And as great as a servant as he's been, you kind of saw yesterday he's not a player that can play 2 games in 3 days that high intensity anymore. But then when you look at Keita and Ox, as talented as they are, as much of goal threats or creativity as they can give you when they're fit and firing, the likelihood is they're going to miss probably half the season of games because they get injured so much. So that actually leaves you with Henderson, Fabinho, Thiago, and then Curtis Jones as your centre midfielders, who are reliable centre midfielders. And again, as I said, injuries can happen to anyone. So I wouldn't mind seeing a young centre midfielder come in and just someone who can take that burden and just be that. But again, someone like Alaba solves that issue because he can cover there as well. And then I'm like you, Rams. I think we need an out-and-out striker. We need to have some variety to our game. And Bobby Firmino is my favourite player, but he's not a killer in front of goal. And I'm not saying... I think you need that mix between a Firmino and a Haaland. I think you need someone with Bobby's movement and selflessness, but you need someone who can put the ball in the back of the net 7 out of 10 times, whereas Bobby's maybe going to do it 4 or 5 out of 10 if you're lucky. So I think we do need another striker. I don't necessarily think we need... you know, we may even need another winger at this point as well, because Jota's come in as a backup and he's now established as a first 11. So
we don't want to rely on Harvey Elliott, do we? If we need
to. Not just yet. I wouldn't mind seeing Harvey go on loan to an English team. So not an English, a Premier League team.
All right,
next season.
Yeah.
I think that could work quite well for him for his development, because I've been hearing really good things about him. He's done well at Blackburn and been getting assists and goals, etc. So I think the next step to his development would be playing in the Premier League for sort of one of your promoted clubs. It'd be interesting to see. It will be interesting to see.
Just on your point of midfielders, we got quite a few players in general. We've got quite a few players out on loan who are wanting to make a name for themselves or want to try and push themselves to the higher leagues. Like looking at the list, so we got like Shea. I don't think Shea is going to be. We got Awani. I don't think he's going to be there. Terrace. Well, we don't know if Terrace is going to.
He's not going to be there.
Yes,
that ship sailed. It's gone around the world. It's come back again. It's sailed off again.
Yeah. We've got Grujic, who I'm a massive fan. I like Marco Grujic. Like I've seen him in the Bundesliga. He was doing very well with Hertha Berlin. I think we should keep him in general. But Harry Wilson, Ben Woodburn, would these players have a future, or do you like it's not worth it?
No.
Go on, Bizzo. Yeah, Bizzo kind of took the words out of my mouth. I think Grujic could have had a future, but the stuff he wrote about Adrian, I don't think Klopp's a fan of stuff like that. If he didn't do that, I think he may have well had a place in the team, because the time where he played with us and the time where he's been out on loan, he's actually played well, and I actually wanted to keep him because I think he could have been a really good deputy to Fabinho.
Yeah.
But no, after what you say about a fellow teammate, you just can't do those things. Not in the professional game we are in at the moment, and the rest of the players, unfortunately, I just don't think are up to the standard. Shea Ojo, I thought would have been one of those players to really kick on when Klopp came in, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't happened for him. He's another player that's got all the talent in the world, but just doesn't seem to be able to put it together when it really matters. So those players, I think Grujic is the only one with a chance, but I don't really think he's got a chance. I think all those players will be moved on next summer.
Sold.
But that's on the bright side, there's money. You get some money for that. So
I don't know how much we get though, if I'm going to be honest.
I don't think we'll be getting anywhere near as 25 million as what we wanted for Wilson now.
No, definitely not.
No. At the moment,
no.
I mean, he kind of like shone at Bournemouth a little bit in glimpses, scored a couple of good goals for him, but you're not hearing much from him now. So I can't imagine us demanding a big fee for him. I think I'll always have confidence that the players that are in that Liverpool squad are the ones that have a future there, and the ones that are out on loan, probably, other than Harvey Elliott, because I think Harvey Elliott is a real talent that could potentially come into our team in the next couple of years and solidify himself. I think other than that, I trust Klopp's judgment on the fact that the ones that are out on loan probably aren't that good enough to be in our squad.
That's fair enough.
Brewster's a prime example of it, really, isn't he?
Yeah.
Everyone was saying at the start of this season, Brewster's going to come into our squad and back up Firmino, and he's going to score all these goals, and we sold him, and we're like, we shouldn't really done that, and he's not scored yet.
Yeah, I think he made the wrong move, though, if I'm going to be honest. I don't think Sheffield United was the move he should have made. which is a bit of a shame because
who was in for him? Was it Newcastle?
I think Newcastle might have been. I know Crystal Palace were in for him as well.
That would have been a little bit better, I think.
I think Palace would have suited him
Palace was
better,
the
to be
one.
honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, not to be, unfortunately. So move on to Brighton. Early game this weekend, which is annoying because we played Wednesday and then we're back to playing midday on Saturday. But we moved. We've got to deal with what's in front of us. Do you think we'll get back to winning ways, and do you expect the team to bounce back? And do you think it's the needed kick up the backside to say you can't rest on your laurels? So, Bizzo, I'll start with you.
Yeah, this is what we do best when we get beat like this. We come back better in the following game. Played miles better against Everton when we got beat by Villa. Obviously, should have won the game, but it didn't happen. He just needs to make a couple of tweaks. He just needs to get that fluidity up front again. I'd bring Bobby straight back in, and I'd put Fabinho and Matip just to get us through the game. Those two boys at the back are solid. I know.
Yeah, they are.
Fabinho's a centre defensive midfielder, but that guy's let one goal in about 9 games at centre half.
Yeah,
it's mad because everyone keeps saying, "Oh, he's not fast. He can't do this. He's going to struggle against Werner. Get a clean sheet against Chelsea, and then he goes, oh, we're going to struggle against Vardy, and then we get a clean sheet against Leicester." So
yeah,
it's mad. I know he's a centre defensive midfielder, and he's probably one of the best in the world at that. But for the time being, he has to play there for me because he's keeping the team together by playing in that position, and he's keeping us from conceding goals in a lot of goals that we would probably concede if we had the likes of Phillips and Williams in centre half, or Matt and Williams.
Fully agree. Rams?
Yeah, just on your point of Fabinho, he used to play right back for Madrid and
Monaco.
And one thing for sure, that when he was at Real Madrid, I think Sergio Ramos was right back as well. So it's basically another centre half. So obviously he has quite a bit of experience playing in a defensive position, especially in centre half. But yeah, I think in terms of this result, will we bounce back? I think we will. We will. We're Liverpool. We always bounce back from really bad results, especially under Klopp. But I think for that weekend, we need to say our main front three. I don't know whether Firmino should play, but it's between Jota and Firmino. Thing is, Jota's in such good form, and Firmino, yeah, he scored a goal, but is that consistency? Will he be consistent for the next couple of games? It remains to be seen. So for me, I think, yeah. So I think for me, front three would be Mane, Jota, and Salah, with a midfield three of Henderson, Wijnaldum, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Thiago's available. So.
Yeah, I'll be honest, as much as I love Thiago, I don't see him playing again for a little while. I think there's something going on. I just think the club are keeping tight-lipped about it, but I don't think he's right. To be honest, that challenge was a horrific challenge as well. So the fact that he's actually able to walk around is a bit of a mini miracle, but I think there's more to it than we realise.
Is that what the rumour is, that he's not recovered from the Everton game?
Well, no, the rumour is that he'll play, but I believe when I see it. We've been hearing he's been fit for like a couple of weeks after the Everton game, and we still haven't seen him yet. I think there's more to his injury than the club are letting on, to be honest.
Or do you
It was
think
a horror
being
challenge.
extra cautious? Are we being extra cautious?
Probably, but when you look back at the tackle, it is a horror challenge. It was an absolute horror challenge. Like he was lucky to walk away from that challenge. So,
Shaqiri? What's up? What is Shaqiri injured?
No idea.
This always happens.
Yeah,
it's mad. It's like he has a couple of good games, comes in for us, and then next thing you just see him playing for Switzerland, and that's it.
Yeah, with Shaqiri, apparently it was a muscle injury, but again, the club haven't said too much about it.
I think personally it's fitness. I don't think he's fit enough to play. Like, not in terms of, I don't think he's fit enough to even play a couple of minutes at our intensity, in my personal opinion. I think that's how Klopp sees it. I don't think he sees he's really right for the system, but somehow we still have him.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you. he's brilliant off the bench though, Shaqiri. He really is brilliant off the bench.
I think
So
he's
even just for that alone.
For
Sorry,
sure.
Bizzo, go on, bro.
I was just saying, I think he's a great player. I really rate him.
Yeah, he is.
I mean, he's a match winner in himself. He's proved it already this season. He's got bags of talent, and I just don't. It's just it's a strange one. It's a strange one with him. I thought he'd play a lot more than what he is doing. And like I said, he just has these stages in the season where he just vanishes for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you never hear from him. And then he appears again on the fringe of the team. It's weird.
Yeah, it is. It is. But I hope they're both fit. If Shaqiri and Thiago are both fit, then it boosts the impact by loads. By loads. Neeks is in the comments still, just
I
literally
can,
just pouring a bit of salt. He knows what he's doing. I have
I
to
can,
rate it. I have to rate it.
I
Neeks
can
knows what he's
see,
doing.
I can see that. Like literally, Kimmich, Thiago, Bruno, Thiago. Oh my god, this guy.
Nah, everyone knows Thiago's talent is undoubted, and it's just a shame that he just got a really horrific challenge, and we just got to kind of weigh out and see where it goes really. Um, just before we end the show, just want to speak two more topics. So obviously today, news was released that Liverpool from the 2nd of December going forward, they can have up to 2,000 fans in the stadium watching the game. Do you think that's a welcome boost for us? Do you think that will really help us in some of those games? And what's just your thoughts on that decision? Either one of you can go first there.
Yeah, I think as soon as that news broke out that Liverpool getting 2,000 fans, I was happy. At least some fans are able to watch the match. I think people have been saying that we've been lacking fans around. Like the atmosphere is not the same. Even with a little bit of fans, the atmosphere it won't be the same level, but it'll still be at a level where we can push our team forward, and the team would love the fans being around. I think they really do miss the fans at the stadium, so it's a welcome one. It's definitely a welcome boost.
Yeah,
And United can't have any.
Yeah, I was gonna say Man City can't either, but I don't think that will really
No,
affect them because it's kind of like that all the
exactly.
time anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's good to have, isn't it? I don't know how they're going to do it, how the logistics of it will work. Obviously you don't know if they're going to like focus on corporate because they pay more money or however it's going to work. Like Ram said, as long as there's a few fans in the ground, then it's a boost. It'd be like when you're on an away day, only a couple of thousand fans, like in a fixture or whatever. But it's definitely well overdue that some fans are back in the ground. I can't wait to get some real noise on Sky Sports now.
Yeah, I've missed it, man. It's not the same. That the delayed reaction to the noise is like I'm just like
And then
sometimes
then sometimes you hear them say "ooh" and they say "ah" and then they start cheering.
I'm like, oh, come on, man. But no, it'll be brilliant to get fans back. Rams, you wanted to speak on a subject, so I'm gonna let you introduce this segment, and then we can speak about me, you, and Bizzo. So I'll let you take the floor, Rams.
Needs his own theme music here.
Yeah. So I think what Klopp's done for Liverpool has been incredible since he first joined, and I want to gauge you guys on how good is Jurgen Klopp in terms of elite managers across the history of football. So if we say Sir Alex Ferguson is tier 1, where would you rank Klopp throughout his whole career?
It's a tough one, Rams. It's tough. You got to look at longevity.
Bearing in mind, he's won a league, he's won domestic trophies, and he's won a European trophy as well.
Yeah, but the argument that you're always going to get is he won 3 domestic league titles, 2 with Dortmund, 1 with Liverpool. He's won 1 Champions League, and to my knowledge, not that many sort of second-tier domestic trophies like FA Cups, etc. For me, he's not tier 1. He's definitely not Ferguson's tier.
No.
he might be tier 3. It's tier 2. For me, you got to look at like Ancelotti. Well, Ancelotti might even be tier 1 as well. Um, hmm. If we're talking about current managers, I think he's the best manager in the world currently as we speak right
Yeah.
now. If you're going throughout history though, it might be tier 2 or tier 3.
Mhm.
Can't be speaking about him with Ancelotti and Ferguson yet. Can't do it.
All right.
Them two are their levels are stupid. It's ridiculous what they've both done. Bizzo, how do you feel?
I think he's on his way.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think, as you said, if any club in the world could pick a manager, they'd pick Klopp hands down, and I think that speaks volumes. I don't think there's any other manager you put ahead of him to put in the role. And as I said, I think he just needs to continue this dynasty a little bit longer. He needs to continue it. Show we've won the league. It was a fantastic achievement. In my opinion, he needs to do it again. And Champions League, it's the same as well. Need a bit more of a priority on the Champions League. Try and get as far as we can again this season or next or whenever, because Di Matteo's won a Champions League, and so he's only on a par with him. So.
I think that's harsh, Bizzo, but I get the logic,
You know what
but
I mean?
that is what rival fans will say, and it's a point. It is a point. Like Di Matteo won the Champions League under different circumstances, but you know what? He still won it. He did what he had to do, and he won it. Yeah, for me, Klopp is the best manager in world football right now, but in terms of all greatest of all time, he's still got a little way to go. Because you've even got to think of your Mourinho's who
Yeah.
aren't at the level they used to be, but he's still a tier above Klopp in terms of overall standing in his career. You have to look
Mhm.
at someone like Mourinho and say he's up there because he's won a stupid amount of trophies and he's done it in different countries, etc. The Pep stuff, I know a lot of people would be like, yeah, Pep's better than Klopp. For me, currently, he's not. I think people are quick to speak about trophies and stuff. Um,
It's hard. It's hard
you've
to
got to look
compare.
at Pep's. You've got to look at Pep's situations that he's been in. He's always had the odds stacked in his favour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whereas Fergie, when he came to United, he didn't. He had to build something there, turn things around. Same with Klopp.
The same with
Mourinho
Klopp.
at Porto.
What Klopp has done with Liverpool from when he took over is
Crazy.
is magical. Like
Mm.
there's no denying that. You can't even like with the turnover of the transfer fees and stuff, and the fact that we don't pay players mass amounts of money to play for us,
Yeah.
like other top teams do. That all contributes in his favour because he's working with a handicap, whereas Guardiola could potentially go into a board meeting and say, "I want him. He's going to cost 250 grand a week. Yeah, that's fine." Or
Yeah.
Man United buying 37-year-old Ibrahimovic for a year and 33-year-old Cavani and paying them astronomical wages just to try and get him through the season with a little bit of assistance from a world-class player that's probably at the peak of his career. And that's another thing we buy. He's bought players that aren't in the peak yet. He puts players in the peak. He doesn't buy players in the peak. Thiago's probably the only player that he's done that with. But as I said, he needs to win. He needs to win a little bit more with us. Continue the the dynasty that he's got going and the run of form that we've got.
Yeah, fully agree. Fully agree. So, guys, before we head off, can I get some score predictions for you for the game coming up at the weekend? Liverpool versus Brighton at Brighton. Bizzo, what's your score prediction?
3-0.
3-0, convincing. All right, Rams
I'll go 2-0. 2-0.
2-0. Okay.
Dave.
I'm actually going to go 2-1 Liverpool. I see us conceding. Brighton aren't a pushover. I think we'll ultimately do it, but they're not a pushover. They actually play good football as well. So I think they'll make the game difficult. But I think we'll see it off in the end.
Graham Potter paper.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But I hope we do well. Anyway, we're gonna end it there, guys. We're gonna end it there. Anything you guys wanted to add before we head off?
Nah, I think
All good.
yeah.
Cool,
all good.
cool. So, guys, just want to say a thank you to you guys in the comments. I saw all the comments, all the banter and everything in the comments. It's a good laugh. Got to enjoy it. We got to take it, guys. When we lose a game, we got to take the banter because we dish it out when we see other teams lose. So I take it on the chin. Even though some of it's a bit crazy, I still take it on the chin. But we'll be back next Thursday, people. Not sure what time yet. We're going to sort out some times, and obviously Bizzo and Rams, if you're available, obviously love to have you back on as well. But until next time, guys, just let them know where they can find you on social media, guys, so they can support you. At Bizzo Bond, at LRB_Rams, and I am Callum Sanderson, repping Team Coppish. So, guys, until we see you next time, thanks very much for tuning in. Smash that like button and stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys soon. Thanks very much for watching.